It's all working out. Just remember, what you're seeing and what you're reading is not what's happening. That's Donald Trump, July 24th, 2018. The party told you to reject the evidence of your eyes and ears. It was their final, most essential command. George Orwell, 1984. In the end, the party would announce that 2 and 2 made 5, and you would have to believe it. It was inevitable that they should make that claim sooner or later. The logic of their position demanded it. Not merely the validity of experience, but the very existence of external reality was tacitly denied by their philosophy. The heresy of heresies was common sense. And what was terrifying was not that they would kill you for thinking otherwise, but that they might be right. For after all, how do we know that 2 and 2 make 4? Or that the force of gravity works? Or that the past is unchangeable? If both the past and the external world exist only in the mind, and if the mind itself is controllable, what then? That's also George Orwell from 1984. What do these quotes have in common? And how do they relate to the word trauma? Let's find out, shall we? Hi, everybody. I'm Dean Spillane Walker, author of the book, The Impossible Conversation. I'm pleased to announce a very important project from myself and my creative partner, renowned author and thought leader, Carolyn Baker, and our little organization, Living Resilience Alliance. Most of you know the amazing work that Carolyn has been doing for more than a decade, including her podcast, which is called the New Lifeboat Hour, and her remarkable work in putting together her daily news digest every day to keep us abreast of the important events in our crazy world, blended with wisdom old and new, with which we can stay present and keep our hearts open. Carolyn is probably best known for her many books about how to stay present and open-hearted when facing the many predicaments of our world. Or, as she often says, finding islands of sanity in a sea of chaos. All our projects are aimed at offering people safe environments and powerful tools and opportunities to reconnect with their deeper selves, other people, and Earth herself. This year, 2018, has really stirred us into bold new level of action and concern. The first project I'd like to invite you to is an online summit in September. Title and theme of the summit, Healing Our Trauma Together in an Insane World. Why this theme for a summit now? We are asserting that the world, and particularly the USA, is currently experiencing a daily wave of deeply disturbing events, news flashes, and official proclamations. Further, we're asserting that these events and wild blatherings are not just another round of familiar and frustrating political theatrics. We're asserting that these polarizing events of our daily lives, these now common hyper-dramatic news flashes, are actually tearing at the fabric of what it means to be a citizen of the USA, and more importantly, what it means to be a human being in these trying times. We're ultimately asserting that these waves of hyper-dramatic, polarizing events are actually traumatizing the American population. We're also asserting that the USA has been at this for so long, longer than the Trump administration, that we don't even realize the trauma is happening anymore. We've come to normalize the traumatizing nature of our political, economic, environmental, and cultural conflicts. We just call it normal, move on through our day. Donald Trump's biographer, Michael D'Antonio, offers some sage advice about these dizzying times and how regular folks might muster some courage and some hope. The danger in Trump's lying habit is that he could damage public trust to the point where citizens retreat and are exhausted to a position of cynical acceptance. If you want to see this dynamic in action, visit an authoritarian country like Russia, where everyone knows that the truth cannot be discerned. Hope resides in institutions and individuals who refuse to accept the deceptions. That's Michael D'Antonio, author of The Truth About Trump. We're asserting that the deceptions are not only disempowering and disorienting, they're also traumatizing to the people being led by this administration, you and me. So how are we responding as a nation? Some people respond by diving into the fray and deepening the toxic arguments, and others will do their best to stay away from it all, hoping that if they ignore it long enough, it will all go away. No one is addressing this as an issue of collective trauma to the very social fabric of our nation. Trauma is now an everyday part of our world. That's why we're putting together this summit. There are precious few places or spaces where people can come together to just have a sane conversation about this stuff and begin to name the effects of this insanity on their own well-being and the well-being of their families and communities. This online summit is just such a safe place. This is a gathering of mental health professionals, teachers, journalists, authors, all of whom have something to add to this desperately needed conversation. We will be looking at this cultural insanity from a number of different perspectives, all with the intention of sharing what we have found to be helpful in our search for islands of sanity that Carolyn so often mentions. Please join us on Monday and Wednesday evenings through September and the 1st of October for interviews with these thought leaders and engage in live Q&A sessions with each one. Every one of these sessions is going to be recorded, and participants will have unlimited access to the summit recordings for at least 6 months after the summit. We're hoping that folks like yourself will use these summit sessions as an excuse to get together with friends and family to engage with the material together. It's kind of like a book club, only on steroids. Hopefully this will spark some much needed conversation. The links for registering for the summit or for more information are below in the show notes. We hope that you will join us for this remarkable assemblage of thought leaders and pioneers in the field of addressing the insanity and the trauma that has become the normal daily reality of our culture.